Before we begin, thank you very much to KR Brickbot for joining the Patreon campaign over at patreon.com/TJOmega. I don't know why I wanted to say it that way, I just did. Thank you very much for pitching in. Brickbot decided to pitch in at the highest level, which means we have a video on the way by request, which is going to be talking a whole lot of Tobots, I believe. So we'll be talking some more alternatives to Transformers in the near future. But until then, we have a fun one that I've been thinking about for a long time. And you know what? I've come to a conclusion that is probably not going to sit well with some Transformer fans. Most likely. But there's going to be a few out there who agree with me, and you're the interesting ones. Starscream was right. I'm just going to tell you out there right now, Starscream was right. Now, we know Starscream as one of the most famous of all fictional traitors when it comes to 80s entertainment. In Transformers, he is the quintessential traitor. He is the one who will betray you no matter what side he is on at the time, no matter what he currently believes. He will find the grass is greener on the other side somehow and decide, I want that grass. Screw your grass. So, we know Starscream is always power hungry. He is always after Megatron's position as leader of the Decepticons. But we always kind of assume that he's just power hungry and that's it. But you know what? There's more to it than that. And there really should be more to it than that. Okay, now just for starters, the two do hate each other. And we could go on for days about why Megatron actually keeps Starscream around, even though he has openly, actively spoken about and attempted to overthrow his leader. Could be keep your enemies closer. Some fiction has explained, well, Megatron likes to keep him around to watch him fail. It keeps him on his toes is another good one. Usually it's a mistake. I would feel that in almost every continuity, it is a mistake to leave Starscream that close to Megatron. However, in G1's fiction specifically, there is actually a lot of merit for Starscream taking over leadership of the Decepticons. Now, let's go over history. We are going to, most of this video, we're gonna revisit some old ground here. But I think it's worth it because this is a fun observation. We are going to do a job report for Megatron. We are going to actually have a performance evaluation and actually determine just how good Megatron is at doing his job of being the leader of the Decepticons. So for starters, okay, let's go backwards about 9 million years when he was first constructed on Cybertron, either by the Constructicons or 8 people who look suspiciously like the Constructicons. Your fiction and your continuity, make of it what you will. Point being, after he came online, his first act was to murder the current Autobot leader, and then use the Decepticons to kind of subtly work their way in and increase their ranks until they were ready for all-out war. Which kind of led to the creation of Optimus Prime. We know that story, right? So this goes on for approximately 5 million years. And honestly, in 5 million years' time, Megatron does a pretty good job as the leader of the Decepticons. He manages to take over most of Cybertron and get the Autobots down to a pretty desperate situation, it feels, as they are scrounging for what little energy they can and constantly hiding out from the Decepticons on their own home planet. So Megatron did great for about 5 million years, okay? Then we skip ahead 4 million years to about 1984 on Earth when they finally wake up. And Megatron's track record after they awaken and renew the war on Earth is a little bit lacking. Okay, this is where the performance starts to slip. And if I'm looking over his job report here, if I'm looking over the list, I can actually see a lot of reasons for why he should be terminated from his position. Now let's understand that There can be employees who are the best that there has ever been at their job, but eventually they slack off, they can't handle the job anymore, other things are distracted, whatever, their performance slips and it's time to let them go. Okay, so we acknowledge that that is a thing in the workforce. It should be a thing in Cybertronian workforce as well, I believe. So let's just go over a few examples. These are just a few, mind you. So we have Megatron's master plan, where he has imitated a bunch of Autobots and tricked the mass public into believing it's the Autobots who are the bad guys, not the Decepticons. This is after dozens and dozens of Decepticon plots, by the way, so that's pretty big ask, but he actually managed to pull it off and banished the Autobots into a shuttle that was programmed to go into the sun. Had Megatron planned to actually just have the ship explode instead of flying into the sun, would have given the Autobots no chance to have actually turned the ship around and come back to Earth. So unfortunately, that would have been an easy win. Can't have that. How about an even easier win? Let's look at City of Steel. Megatron pretty much has Optimus Prime as helpless and defeated as he ever was at this point. Megatron has defeated Optimus Prime, deactivated him, and had his body dismantled. In fact, Optimus Prime wouldn't have even had any part of him reactivate if Megatron hadn't started twisting a few wires from his neck together in order to start fusing and bringing his head back online. Which is where we found out that Optimus could mentally control his severed limbs, by the way. That's not creepy at all. The point being, his enemy was defeated here. In any other situation, his head probably just would have been on a trophy case. In Megatron... Does he have a bedroom? I don't know. I don't know where he would keep it, but he would keep that. He would keep that. He wouldn't have it rebuilt into a giant metal crocodile. Like, God, it was... City of Steel's a dumb episode, people. City of Steel's a real dumb episode. Point being, yeah, he defeated Optimus Prime, and then got really goofy, which meant Optimus Prime eventually came back and beat him. That's how a lot of these plans go, by the way. How about the Golden Lagoon? So, Megatron has two opportunities here. Number one, during the plot, the Autobot base was actually empty when Megatron's golden army of invincible warriors stormed it. He could have just blown up the base right there. No Teletran 1, no recovery pods or anything to help them recharge, no equipment, no extra parts, no energon reserves, no nothing. And instead, they just left. The base is completely unguarded. All they had to do was just guns ablaze, just spin around shooting your guns, and they would have actually defeated the Autobots here. They could have also defeated the Autobots in this one if they had blown up the lagoon after they themselves coated themselves with the Electrum. We know that's possible. Megatron destroyed the lagoon at the end of the episode. So if he had done it before, Autobots wouldn't have gotten access to it, wouldn't have gone gold themselves, and yeah, that would have been an easy win for the Decepticons again. Now, of course, that whole reason, that one is at least explainable. Megatron didn't want to lose the resource, but, you know, also... buckets are a thing. You just like scoop Electrum and just fly it home. Fill up Energon cubes with it. Doesn't that make sense? How about Heavy Metal War? Megatron gets a hold of a device that allows him to put all of the different superpowers of the Decepticons into himself in order to defeat Optimus Prime in a legal by Cybertronian law duel that forced him and the other Autobots to abandon Earth as a result of Prime's defeat. He could have just blown up Optimus Prime here. There's no, okay, trick him off planet so they willingly go, etc. I get that. He had Optimus Prime dead to rights. Like, Optimus Prime was absolutely beaten in this episode, and he could have just kept going. He could have just kept going until Optimus was scrapped. No one would have stopped him. I mean... The trick to that is, yeah, the Decepticons didn't have their power chips. The Autobots still would have been at full power, so that might have gotten overpowered, but look at how strong Megatron is. That might have not mattered. And it's something they could have done later on, too, by the way. I don't think that machine ever got destroyed. Just saying. How about a Prime problem? This is another one of those situations where if Megatron hadn't come up with some cockamamie complex plan, they could have just ended things off a lot more simple. What if the clone of Optimus Prime he's piloting just has a bomb in him? Like, he gains access to inside Teletran 1 and the base. Bomb. Just blow the whole place up. I mean, that's all you really need. You know, and Optimus was there, Teletran was there, the higher-ups and the Autobots were there. This would have been an easy win. This would have been another easy win. How about another easy win? That's SOS Dinobots. SOS Dinobots, he has Optimus Prime and most of the strongest Autobots captured. Now, again, he doesn't just destroy them outright. For whatever reason, he decides, let's put them in Energon chains and put them on display? I honestly don't know what he was thinking here. This is another easy win. Another easy win in the Autobot run. Probably the easiest win. He had the Autobots trapped in their alt modes. They even shot their tires out so they couldn't drive. That's how beaten the Autobots were here. That is how helpless they were. What you see here is where Ironhide should have died. Now, number one, they had time to crunch several Autobots, but they wasted time demonstrating the machine with a Decepticon body shell instead of just demonstrating it with one of the random Autobots, like Optimus Prime, for instance. You just won. That's all it would have taken. How about the very first episode? How about in the very first episode, you just destroy Teletran 1 before it can repair any of the Autobots by mistake the way it repaired the Decepticons by mistake? How about that? So Megatron's very first decision on Earth to not destroy Teletran 1 before they left. Even that was a fatal mistake for someone who could conquer a planet for 5 million years but can't figure out, take away enemies' advantages. I don't get it. How about Divide and Conquer? We could have just defeated Optimus Prime by blowing up the space bridge and preventing the Autobots from returning with the parts needed to save his life. No. Acid Rain plot. Let's do Acid Rain instead and give them a chance to escape. Yeah, that's a great choice there. So, there's another incident here. There is another incident in this episode that we kind of gloss over. During the fight with the Autobots at the end, Megatron is actually being advised by Starscream that they're burning through too much power and they need to start conserving, and Megatron doesn't. They just keep going all out, which is why Optimus Prime defeats Megatron at the end of the episode. He doesn't have the power reserves left to actually do the job. Keep in mind, this is another situation where if the Decepticons just ganged up on Optimus Prime, they would have won. All the other Autobots were too exhausted from the fight. Like, they had beaten everybody else except Optimus Prime. That's it. That could have ended the whole thing. It could have been 13-on-1. And it's not Transformers the movie, so Optimus couldn't handle those numbers yet. Point being, lots of opportunities, but there are times, like I said in this one, where Starscream actually does have a point. And part of the reason why Megatron fails isn't his own hubris, it isn't his need to show off or flaunt his victories over his enemies. Sometimes it's really just the fact that he doesn't listen to Starscream when he needs to. Let's take a look at changing gears and the Solar Needle. So, this plot was to absorb energy from the sun using a device on Earth. Hey, I've seen Revenge of the Fallen. Good to know where they got that idea from. The point being, during this episode, this is not a plan Starscream likes. There is something about this that he just isn't confident in, and Starscream is correct. Remember, Starscream was originally a scientist before the war. He's actually much more intelligent than you would normally give him credit for. So when he sees something like this and goes, this is dangerous, you maybe want to listen to that a little bit more. And he was right. It caused an instability in the sun that would have caused it to go nova. Took the whole planet with it. Nope, Starscream warned Megatron. Megatron didn't listen and nearly wiped them all out in the process. Same thing happened with War of the Dinobots. The meteor's energy Megatron wanted to tap was too unstable, and Starscream insisted on this numerous times. So again, we have Starscream actually being a little bit smarter about some things. In other episodes, you will find Megatron constructing death weapons that Starscream wants to actually test fire first to make sure they work. Again, coming from a place of scientific practice. This make sure it works before you implement it. So he is actually smart on occasion. And, looking at Megatron's track record once they got on Earth, you think 65 episodes of season 1 and 2. Not all of them were Megatron scheme episodes. So you're looking at somewhere like maybe just under 50 attempts to take over the Earth and defeat the Autobots. And none of them succeeded. None of them succeeded. Once they got to Earth, it is just failure after failure after failure on Megatron's part. Numerous. So at that point, why wouldn't you get rid of him? Why wouldn't the other Decepticons be behind this? Yeah, this guy's a loser. This guy hasn't gotten a victory in years. What are we doing? A football team will fire a coach for losing 16 times in 1 year. Megatron managed to lose about 50 times, and he still has a job. Granted, he's like team owner, not coach. I don't know sports. I don't. Let's just keep going and point out Starscream wasn't always. Starscream was kind of on par as well. Imagine he's the reason we have Combaticons. Because he is actually smart enough to go, hey, what if I grab some of those personality cores trapped on Cybertron and bring them back to Earth to power up normal Earth vehicles? Ooh, that actually forms some pretty formidable minions for myself. And we know from the ending, we know from the Revenge of Bruticus, we know from the second episode that he actually was reprogrammed to be loyal to Megatron, which means even their defiant personalities that got them captured and imprisoned in the first place is not exactly a hindrance. They could have just taken any of them and reprogrammed them. Could have done this for literally dozens, if not hundreds of soldiers. If this had worked, there's no reason why Starscream couldn't have done that ad nauseum and just built up his whole army. Countdown to extinction. So Starscream had a plot that would have wiped out all of his enemies and the Earth and revitalized Cybertron in one bang. Okay, that's effective. That's effective, is what that is. Okay, so you wipe out all the Decepticons loyal to Megatron outside of Shockwave on Cybertron. And then you also wipe out Earth, so any of their meddling is gone. And you've just released enough energy to make sure that Cybertron has all the energy it will ever need. And this almost worked. The only reason it doesn't work is the only reason it failed is because Megatron and Optimus Prime, on a very rare occasion, worked together to save the planet. Which is, Megatron saving his own skin, but you get the point. Starscream came real close. Real close. Point being, is it really so wrong to think that Starscream might have actually had a point? To look at Megatron's track record, to look at how many times he failed to defeat the Autobots, to look at how many times he failed to regenerate Cybertron, is it really that much of a surprise that Starscream might not be wrong in wanting to overthrow him? Maybe not even as a power scheme, but just there's no way the Decepticons are ever going to win with this guy leading us. It's just as simple as that. Megatron has a huge track record of failure. That said, I don't think Starscream would have made the best leader either. He's too self-serving and he's too cowardly. So, yeah, Starscream is right in that Megatron needed to be overthrown and Megatron needed to be ousted. But he's not right in that he should be the one leading. I would picture Soundwave or even Shockwave being a better candidate there. But the point being, I actually think Starscream had something right. If Megatron had been ousted, who knows? Maybe the Autobots wouldn't have won eventually. I don't know. It's a fun what if. But yeah, thank you for letting me play devil's advocate for just a little bit. Things like this are kind of fun to do. So thank you for watching. Leave your comments below. Let me know if you agree. Was Starscream right? Let's see. Let me find out. And as always, I will see you next time.
We parlay with the captain.
You would think a werecroc
is going to listen to elvish rules of piracy.
Of course it would be the
Got it.
freaking elves
Cool.
that invented parlay.
I had to think of a quick replacement for the French.